It's Living a Healthy Lifestyle Show with your favorite holistic health coach, Carrie K.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Living a Healthy Lifestyle Show with your favorite holistic health coach, Carrie K. I have the founder of Avordari Wellness Coaching, specializing in helping women overcome emotional eating and self-sabotage. Having personally faced struggles with her compulsive eating and body image, she transformed her life through a holistic approach focused on small, sustainable changes that she empowered others to break free from unhealthy patterns of mastering their thoughts and emotions, creating a sense of balance and control in their relationships with food and themselves. Her coaching philosophy is rooted in ease with substantial, helping women make changes, feel free, natural, effortless, and lasting. Through tailored coaching sessions, Jo has helped clients master their thoughts and emotions, leading to sustainable lifestyle changes. So that's what we're here today for Living a Healthy Lifestyle Show. And I want to welcome Jo to the show.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about being the founder of this amazing coaching business.
Oh, absolutely. I love it because I had my own struggles with my own journey. And as you had mentioned, I just wanted to help pay it forward and help others as well. And that's really the driving reason for me getting this business started was simply to help others so that they don't necessarily have to go through some of those struggles themselves. We can just fast track it and find the proper path for them and start resolving a lot of these items that come up for us when we're struggling with emotional eating. So if it's okay with you, I'd love to share a little bit about my background.
Yes, go ahead. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I love I love sharing this from a mindset piece where I back in the day used to struggle with. And I used to think of myself as I would never be successful in my career. I could never lose weight. I would just never be happy because I just wasn't smart enough. I wasn't good enough. These were all the stories that I just told myself. I lacked confidence, positive self-talk, like all those good things about acknowledging about yourself, and then just my emotions just ran rampant. They always got the better of me. I don't know if you can relate.
I can totally relate with the emotions running rapid. Yes.
Well, this had a huge impact on my life too, because in my younger years, I want to kind of go back to the days of high school and college and early 20s. I used to struggle in the terms of desperately wanting to restrict my food. So I was on that end of the spectrum. I just really wanted to be thin and pretty. I mean, like what girl doesn't, right? And and then people would like me. That's what I told myself. If I was thin and pretty, people would like me. So I would basically aim to not eat. That was my goal. Just the smaller the meal, the better. And maybe if no meal at all, great. Now I know better now. I know that that was not a healthy approach, but that was just my mindset back then. When I was younger, it was more ideal to not eat. However, when I got into my 30s, things really started to shift for me, and it felt like that's when it really got worse. I couldn't restrict anymore. So that's when I just kind of dove head into binge eating and overeating. I couldn't get enough food. And that's when I like to say that I basically lost a decade of my life to binge eating. It basically I just gave up on everything and I succumbed to this food addiction, basically. I began began to pull away from the world and my friends, and food was becoming my best friend instead. Food was the friend that comforted me, but I was ashamed of it too.
Mm.
And I don't know, tell me, like, I know there's probably viewers out there that can relate to this. I would hide my food. I would eat in secrets. I waited till other people went to bed so that I could raid the fridge without them knowing. And I would eat in my car so where nobody else could see me eating. But this was just the typical behavior of I couldn't help that compulsion, but I wanted to hide it. And here's where it gets a little bit worse for me, because I used to suffer from chronic hives. And have you ever had hives, Carrie?
Oh, yes, I have. Many women struggle with that, and it's usually gut health.
Yeah, but you can, I mean, you probably relate to how itchy
Yep.
and painful they are. And
Sores and
oh
things.
gosh, it was terrible. I could always remember how my hands would swell up and I couldn't grip things. I couldn't really function with my hands. The bottom of my feet would swell up and I couldn't walk. I would have it break out in hives on my face, and even my eyes would puff up, and it looked like I had been crying for days, even when I hadn't. I used to suffer from these hives pretty much daily for about 30 years of my life. And at at my lowest low, I still understood what was causing those hives. I really did. And I knew it was the food. I knew that it was all that delicious, comforting, processed food that I couldn't stop eating. My entire body itched like there was no tomorrow because the hives were bad. And I mean, this is gonna sound really bad, but I used to joke that, I wanted one of those little steel Brillo pads that you use for dishes and stuff. I used to joke that I wanted one of those just to rub on my skin to make the itching stop. That's how bad it was.
Oh, honey.
So, why am I sharing this story about my hives with you? Because I want I want people to know that because of how painful, regardless of how painful it felt for me, I could not give up those foods that I was so dependent on. That's how bad the addiction felt for me. That food that just soothed my pain, my heartache, my stress, my anger. I knew what was causing those hives, but I would not give up that food that comforted me, even though I knew it would heal my body. And this behavior also had a very large impact on my weight because just in my 30s, I rapidly ended up gaining over 100 pounds very quickly. It was as I gave up that restriction and I welcomed just unabashful binge eating. It just came in by the troves. So of course I put on that weight as well, and that just kind of domino effect the shame in a sense.
Well,
Because seeing
many
that
women
num
struggle with emotional eating and self-sabotage. What do you think is the biggest misconception of overcoming these challenges, Jill?
mm, I love this question because I think a lot of people think that they have to fix their food first. So knowing food is the problem. Food is you realize that you're doing some unhealthy eating, but we tend to want to start with the food. And we'll try and use willpower, or we go on this quest to find that perfect diet, that one that's going to solve everything, right?
Right.
We sometimes get caught in this trap of that we could have done better. We should do this. And it's what we end up telling ourselves. We shouldn't start with food first. It's more the
Mm.
mindset first. And I know we get pressure from other people too. I felt I felt immense pressure at one point for somebody trying to push intermittent fasting on me. And I know I wanted to lose weight, and that was what they knew. They were just energy in, energy out kind of person, and pressured me to do this intermittent fasting when I wasn't ready for it. And I tried because I wanted to please the person and be a good girl and do what just kind of try something and follow those lines because I know I should be doing this. But really all it did was just cause me to spiral a little bit more, and I ended up binging afterwards too. It was just like I felt even more out of control afterwards because I was trying to focus on food first, and it really should be mindset
Wow.
first.
So, and there are so many coaching philosophies out there that focus on small changes. And so your coaching aspect towards everything is finding, first of all, what really is the bottom line, what's
Mhm.
really going on to help get to that first. And so that's the conclusion that you came to, that there
Yeah.
was something that was underlying, from what I see, that
Hmm.
was going on, that had to be discovered
Yeah.
through your journey. And you discovered that. And so it wasn't really all the food stuff, it was other stuff too that you were dealing with that
Mhm.
you didn't realize. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. I love that I gave myself a little bit of grace at one point and I said, okay, I'm going to step back. I'm going to figure out, I can be a little stubborn sometimes. So I'm like, I got to figure this out my way. So it's like I can't really follow something that I like the rules. I can't really follow somebody else's rules. I got to figure out what is true to me. So I took that moment to step back and I said, I am going to give myself permission to just eat. It's okay. And while I'm allowing myself the freedom in a sense to eat, I knew I also had to dive into the mindset piece. So I got the support I needed from other coaches, and I started learning more about this, about emotional eating and learning more about myself, really. That's what it really came down to. It was a process of self-discovery and diving into my emotions and figuring out what is it that is causing all this? Where is it? Where's the disconnect for me? Because I knew what I was doing wrong, but I just didn't know, I didn't have enough self-awareness, I should say. So while I was giving myself the permission to eat, I knew I was going to fix that later. So I'm like, I'll just table that off to the side. We'll fix the food later. I'm going to address this here and now. And I'd say through probably a process of about 4 months, I started working on my mindset and started developing that self-awareness and getting to know myself. And then the food just kind of evolved from there. And I eventually let go of that grip, that hold.
And you help women embrace their worth and stand up for what they truly want.
Hmm.
And how does that transforming their relationship with food ripple into other areas of their lives?
Oh, yes. The relationship with food, it's once we heal that and kind of I kind of frame it in a sense of like you think food is on your mind all day long. It's just one of those you think about constantly when you're in these emotional states or even the binge eating states. You might be thinking about food all the time. But once you heal that relationship, that those thoughts kind of just dissipate and eventually you'll find yourself not thinking about food and you open up yourself for so much more in life. And you'll find yourself having greater trust with yourself, greater confidence. You'll have more opportunities for self-growth, basically. You'll have more room for maybe better setting your boundaries and taking care of yourself. I know with women, especially moms, we give so much of ourselves to
Oh,
others.
huh,
Yeah, I know.
it's a job in
And
itself.
you know, it's unfortunate that we often sometimes see that as shameful or a bad thing if we want to focus on ourselves.
Oh,
So, you know, it's okay. It's okay to feel that you're not being selfish by saying, I want to take care of myself. I want to honor myself. So once you heal that relationship with your food, you find those things to be a much easier, honoring yourself and opening up to more in life. You'll find that if you release that hold on food, then you'll feel it in your body too. You mentioned earlier gut health.
mhm.
Yeah. You'll be able to heal your body and that'll trickle out to more energy. Brain fog is something that we all,
Mm.
oh, right? The day that my brain fog went away, I was so happy. So it felt like it was freedom there I was waking up for the first time.
Well, because it sounds like there was some emotional things going
Mm,
on in people's lives, and they need to deal with those things
hmm.
first. So
Yeah.
Congratulations on being
Yeah.
able to separate those things. The food we'll go back to that later. I'm going to deal with that later. Right
Yeah.
now, I need to deal with this because this is really what's causing this. And once I can get a handle on my emotions and the things that I'm going through, because I think that people use food as a crutch.
Mhm.
I buy my bag of popcorn, you know, like I gotta have that popcorn. So
Yeah.
and I'm not I have never really struggled with that, so I can't really relate in that way. But in a way of just eating unhealthy,
Hmm.
or turning to food, like I've never really had a huge problem with just doing that as an emotional thing all the time. So I can't even imagine what you went through, but I believe and that God, he healed every bit of your soul first to cause you to see that, wow, okay, I'm healed now. Now I can work on these other things. So, and I think that's what God does. He peels us like an onion. I hope it's a Vidalia onion. That's my favorite.
Oh gosh,
But
I
yeah,
I think like an onion is a
oh,
perfect example because once you peel that first layer off, oh, there is a whole new fresh layer there to deal with.
yep,
And I that was basically my journey. I started with a lot of struggles around anger. And once I peeled that anger off, whew, what was underneath what I was not expecting. So I just, dealt with each emotion as they came up. And it was literally a layered piece. And look, I'm still working on myself to this day still,
amen. So did you journal? Did you write down things that, like, oh, okay, I'm dealing with this today? Because I find like journaling really helps me. Like I try to journal at least once a day, my
Mhm.
day and what went on, and especially if I got, something that happened that wasn't so good, and like, how could I have dealt with that? Like, did I
Mm.
deal with that right by eating that piece of cheesecake? You know,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, it's important to write those down or notate them somehow and reflect on your day. Reflect on what I like to say that it's not necessarily you're looking for how could I have done better, but what did I learn from this?
Oh, yes. What did I learn from this?
Hmm.
Yes, because we
Yeah,
do learn a lot from our experiences.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like for someone listening who struggles with emotional eating, binge eating, feeling like this is their only friend, isolating, like you had talked about, which is one small, powerful step that they can take today? So, give us all your information, your input. I've really enjoyed visiting with you,
Oh,
Joe. This
thank
is
you.
awesome.
Yeah, I like to keep it simple. So for folks who struggle with binge eating or even restrictive eating, the key is really about keeping it simple to start with. So we don't want to feel overwhelmed as we go through our day. I like to start with the power of the pause. So it's very simple. When you feel like those emotions are rising up, when you feel like your hands in that cupboard or the fridge, when you're reaching for that food, just stop and say, okay, what can I do for myself right now? I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to say, well, what is it that I'm feeling? And what do I actually need in this moment? So this is an opportunity to just get to know yourself a little bit more, analyze the situation, and if you really do need to reach for that food, that's okay. It's more important for you to take that little step of self-awareness because once you have those pieces figured out, then we can figure out the next step. So we're not going to
Exactly.
jump forward. We're going to take a moment. So I always start with that power of the pause, and that can be something as small as 5 seconds. It can be 10 minutes, however you want to frame it.
I love that power of the pause.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to start using that
Yeah.
because you pause for a few minutes when you're getting ready to do something that maybe
Hmm.
you shouldn't do. and you do something else,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it really does have that power in there because and that's the key where I say with the food is not where we're starting. We're starting with this pause. So if you still feel like you need to eat that food, you give yourself that grace. That's okay because what you just did was take a beautiful step forward in learning something about yourself.
Wow. Because then you take a moment to sit down and write down, like, okay, I really wanted that Twinkie.
Yeah.
But, like Dr. Phil said, I just had him on my show. That Twinkie isn't going to be everlasting. Like it's,
Hmm.
and so why do you really want that? And so
Hmm.
what you just said, to sit down and evaluate
Yeah.
why it is that I want this,
Hmm.
this
And
particular food.
exactly. And sometimes it was more of a why am I angry? Because I noticed that I would feel angry in the situation. And
Oh,
sometimes it takes a little bit to think about your day. And maybe something triggered me in the morning that I'm still carrying with me. And like the day is hard. It can be very hard for some of us as it kind of goes along. And it can try our patience some days. So what triggers you at the end of the day may not be the whole story. There may have been something that happened in that morning that really you were just carrying with you. So yeah, I'm like, okay, this cupcake happened because I got stuck in traffic and this morning on my way to work, and now that I'm home in the evening, I'm gonna binge on cupcakes. So it's, just recognizing those signs and tying them
right.
together.
Wow. Well, I have really learned a lot about this subject. So glad that we were able to talk about it. I want you to share with everyone your information because I believe in these stories and helping other people. So, one thing, do men struggle with this too, or is it just
Oh,
women mostly?
absolutely. I work mostly with women, but I'm so thankful for that question because men absolutely do struggle with emotional eating, binge eating, and just various forms or various areas around that spectrum. They just don't get talked about as much. And
Oh,
yeah, so absolutely, men can struggle with these very same issues. They have emotions just like us that range, and they're not taught always how to kind of cope with these things too, because a lot of this may stem from when we were children, how things happened when we were children, how were we raised, did we learn the coping skills that we need to know,
exactly.
or for men's particularly, were they taught to suppress their emotions instead because that's more manly, you do not
Yeah,
show
that's who they
emotions.
am. That's who they
Yeah.
are. I mean, yeah.
So, yeah, men can definitely start with end up having these struggles too.
Wow. Well,
So,
yeah, send out your information to everyone.
yeah.
I'm sure they're interested.
Yeah, I'd love for people to hop over to my website. It's called Joe Guides You, JO guidesyou.com. And on that website, you'll get to you learn all about me and my programs and what I can offer. I would love for people, you can go ahead and book a free call too. I just love having the conversations. So, no pressure call. Let's just talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and see if there's something that, that because God works in mysterious
Mhm.
ways. And when I do these shows, I just get teary-eyed because it's
Mm.
like we really get to the nitty-gritty of what is going on.
Mhm.
What is really going on.
Yeah.
Um, and I've really been enlightened today with that subject on, because there is something really going on.
Mhm.
And so it's important to get to the bottom of that. People
Mhm.
don't get to the bottom of the symptoms anymore. They just
Mhm.
cover them up with food or drugs or alcohol or shopping.
Oh,
We ain't even
shopping too?
gotten into that subject yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else that you'd like to add before we end the show? This half an hour goes fast.
I know it does. You made me think, something you said made me think of a client of mine that I would love to share her story to showcase exactly what we are talking about today, because she had one of the most beautiful stories that I know of somebody that I've worked with. because she came to me with extreme healthcare issues and concerns. She had diabetes and had very high blood sugar levels. Now, she had levels in the 400s. And
Wow.
normal fasting levels are around 100. So to give everybody that kind of that framework. And I honestly, I don't know how she wasn't in the hospital with the blood sugars this high, but she was struggling to get it under control. And also she was struggling with physical pain and depression, just making it harder and harder for her to solve some of these problems. And then on top of it, she was just afraid she wasn't going to be around much longer for her family.
Oh.
I know. So when we ended up working together around her choices and what she called her inner rebellion, that person that wants to fight everything and just say, no, I'm not doing this. I refuse. So we worked on her self-talk and how she was handling that inner rebellious self. And then we worked on dealing with how to bounce back when something went wrong in life. But
Mm.
ultimately, we were able to get her back into getting back up in the moment and looking at things differently. We were able to, and at the end of the program, she worked with me for about 4 months. And in that time, we started seeing fasting blood sugar levels down into the hundreds. Yeah,
Yay!
she
What a
was so
great
proud of
story.
herself. And then she told me that this was the longest that she'd ever adhered to a program because the changes we were making felt easy. So I want everybody here to know that this process does not have to be difficult, and it doesn't have to be a quick fix or anything that's just like I'm just going to try this and fail. No, this is something we're trying to build for life. We're going to make these changes permanent and easy, and then the downside, the trickle down effects are just going to be immense. So she's going to
Well,
be around for her family.
it
Yeah.
has been amazing having you on the show, Joe, and
Thank
I
you.
cannot wait to share this show with other people that need help with this whole thing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a subject that a lot of people don't like to talk about.
Mhm.
But with Living a Healthy Lifestyle Show, that's what we share with people's stories. And sharing is caring. And
Yeah.
who knows whose lives you're going to enrich or touch. So thank
Yeah.
you for being on the show
Oh,
today. I
thank you
really
so much for
appreciate
having
you.
me. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for
Yeah.
viewing Living a Healthy Lifestyle Show with Joe Miller and her beautiful coaching program to help women and men with binge eating. This is Carrie K with Living Healthy Lifestyle Show. We'll see you next time. God
Bye.
bless.